All right, Biscuit Babies. Today I'm sitting down with the legendary Val James, the first American-born black hockey player to debut in the NHL. It's a really big deal. I'm very excited to talk to him. Val was an enforcer, a tough guy. Had to deal with a lot of adversity everywhere he went, whether it be racism or just trying to make an AHL team and get into the NHL. I'm very excited to talk to him. Been looking forward to having him on, basically since the show was created. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Today's show is brought to you by Lucid Float Spas out of Mount Vernon, Ohio. Go take a float. All right, guys. Val James.
Now Probert got the right hand free. He's loose with the right hand, and he starts to retaliate, and down goes Nyland, and the two of them are hammering each other.
Knights of Columbus, that hurt.
It's old-time hockey, the way you're supposed to play. You throw a little lumber if a guy gets in your way. You play like Gordie Howe or Eddie fucking Shore. We can't all be Gretzky, some news or Bobby Orr.
The enforcer of all hockey podcasts. It's the Biscuit. It's the Biscuit.
Damn it! Check goal regulation signs are what?
The enforcer of all hockey podcasts.
God help the fucking day if fighting's ever banned. As our country will stop working on some Batman's fucking can.
Hi, everybody. It's the Biscuit Podcast.
Hey, you wanna go? Yeah, okay. Good luck, man. Good luck to you too, buddy.
All right, Biscuit Babies. I am joined today by the legend, Val James, author, first American-born black hockey player to debut in the NHL. Also the first native Floridian I read up on, too. And quoted by Dave Brown. And if you get this kind of endorsement from Dave Brown, it's really saying something. The hardest punching and one of the toughest players of all time. Val James, how we doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you? How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Got my coffee going. The Capitals won last night, so I got a bet with my wife, so I need the Capitals to win.
Oh, so your wife took Vegas? So did I.
Yeah. I let her choose, too, so if she loses, it's all on her.
That's right. I let her do the same. You have to let the girls have their way.
Yeah, of course. So are you still a big fan of the NHL?
I watch. I'm doing a few things with the Sabres alumni, and so I'm kind of keeping a little busy in the hockey world.
Cool. Now, I want to start all the way back to actually your father. I'm very curious to know how he got into, ultimately managing the ice rink there, which, got you your footsteps into playing hockey as a young man. How did he get into that job, or was curious about that job?
Okay, so actually we were living on a potato and horse farm at the time, and my dad was more or less the overseer of the whole operations pretty much. So he'd get the farm ready, the potato part of it, we'd get that ready to get it seeded, and then the migrant workers would come up around the end of June and then start picking the potatoes. They probably stayed around until about August. So we were kind of a big family, and he needed to make a little extra money, so he ended up taking night watchman's job at the Long Island Arena. So he ended up working his way from being the night watchman to pretty much overseer of operations when it comes to getting everything set up for any kind of event that would come by. So we pretty much did every event you can think of.
Really?
Right from, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Oh, right from, say, tractor pulls to horse shows, car shows, wrestling, concerts. We pretty much did it all. So I had a good extensive background on the background work that it would take to put on a main event. So that prepared me to be, I guess you could say, able to deal with the public. Yeah. And know what it takes to satisfy people and what they like to see and what they don't like to see. Right.
So he, ultimately just through hard work and perseverance, probably from, being in that farmer mentality, just getting things done. So he probably from what you say, he just went in and really just worked his way to the top in there. That's an incredible story. So as a young boy, you said there's wrestling and all these other events in there. What made you go, oh, I want to play hockey instead of, saying you wanted to wrestle or, be a musician or something like that?
Well, at the time I was playing I was at junior high, I think. But yeah, it was junior high when I ended up getting my first pair of skates. And I guess I was kind of fascinated with the fact that guys could skate around out there and look pretty much like they were at ease or walking on regular ground. So once I got out there, I was like terrible. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't do anything. I felt like a left foot on the right foot.
Yeah.
But I was put on an all-star team, which kind of, in the end, became kind of embarrassing because being at the level that I wasn't quite at the level of the team that I was playing with. So I figured that one out later on. It was just because my dad was the rink manager, and you could get cheap rights that way, or you could stay on a little longer for the same money that you already paid, right?
Yeah.
So I was embarrassed so bad the one game I was playing forward, left wing, and the play was going one way, and I was kind of half with it, and all of a sudden it turned and went the other way. So I made this big tractor-trailer turn, and by the time I got turned going back the other way, the play was coming back at me. So I tried to make the turn again, and, it just came one of those redundant things where they'd be going that way, I'd be going the wrong way, they'd be going that way, I'd be going the wrong way. So I decided from that point that I was going to do extra. So what I did was I would go out in the ice with all the ice rentals, that people that would come in after the figure skaters were done with the ice. And we're talking summertime, too. We had ice pretty much a whole year.
Nice.
And I would go on the ice at probably around 7 o'clock at night. I wouldn't get off the ice until probably close to 1 in the morning.
Wow.
And I'd pay my $5 to whoever would let me play, right?
Yeah.
And then away I would go. Or I should say my dad would pay it. So it took me probably a good 6 to 8 months to get to the point where I thought I was able to actually play at the level with the team that I was playing with. And I was playing on an all-star Bantam team at that time. And
that's really quite.
It was all-star except me.
Yeah, it's really quite incredible to start playing hockey at that late of an age and be. Now, do you pick up things very quickly, or was it just hockey was this natural niche for you where it just seemed to? I mean, obviously you put in the hard work, but kids in Canada start playing hockey, when they're 3 months old. So to start playing at junior high is just an amazing story to be able to get out there and then, you put in the work and skate all night long and get on that all-star team. That's incredible.
Well, it's one of those things that, you try something. Once you get bitten by the bug, you want to try just that much harder.
Right.
Now, I took that same formula, and if you persevere and you work hard and you pay your due diligence to whatever you're doing, you're going to succeed at it, because there's going to be people around you that are going to see what you're doing and come out and give you the help that you need to be successful in what you're doing. Now, I told the young kids that I used to do a little hockey school and that, and even now, well, I do a little bit of speaking at some of the boys and girls clubs, and I kind of try to find out where their minds are right now. And usually, you're talking to kids anywhere from 7 to 14, 16 years old, and you try and boost their mind so that they start thinking about something that they can be really good at.
Right.
And actually make a difference in the human race is what I try and inflict into their minds. And a lot of times it works, because I work at a popular water park resort, and I get to talk to a lot of children during the day, and it's very rewarding to find out a year later that what you said to them has actually sunk in, because they come back. The kids like to come back every year with their parents, so you get to see the progress that they've made over the year, which is sometimes stunning. Sometimes the kids or they get it, and sometimes they don't. But that's just like everyday life. And
you're living proof of that if you put in the hard work and the due diligence and have that dream and realize it's obtainable, because every pro hockey player's had to go through adversity, but the kind of adversity that you had to meet at every level, not just on the ice, but I mean, racism and dealing with that too that's a whole nother layer to the cake that most players don't have to deal with. So you're living proof to these kids that, if you just keep trucking and keep to it, you can, if with hard work, you can get anything done. You really can.
That is absolutely right. And for all you youngsters out there that are listening, never give up your dreams. There's always a chance for you to get what you want if you work hard enough. And as we were saying a few minutes ago, there's tons of people out there that when they see someone working hard and really wanting something, they will help you. So don't be deterred that you're not going to make it or you can't do it. Just put in your mind that you can and do that little extra that helps you get there. There's going to be things like extra exercises, extra workouts that you can do off your field, whatever you're playing. Doesn't necessarily have to be hockey. It could be soccer. It could be lacrosse. It could be any one of the popular sports that everybody plays.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I also want to make sure that they realize that, even though you're playing a sport or trying to get to that level of that sport, you have to always have in the back of your mind, what happens if something happens that's going to completely take you off track.
Right.
Example, say you're playing in your first professional game, doesn't matter, football, soccer, you break your leg. Okay, now if your leg's been broken in 3 places, you'll never play again. So I must insist that you try and get yourself a scholarship so that your parents don't have to pay, number one.
Yeah.
And the thing is that you're going to feel so much better about yourself that you're able to accomplish something on your own at such a young age. Even though your parents were helping, it was mostly you.
Yeah.
And that goes miles when it comes to confidence level.
Yeah, you're going to appreciate that opportunity a lot more if it's something you earned rather than it was mommy and daddy's wallet getting you through to it.
Exactly.
And and like you said, to have a backup plan, only makes sense because 1% of the 1% get to play a professional sport. But but you can put that work ethic into anything you do. Even if you want to write a book or you want to manage a grocery store, that kind of determination that it takes to be that kind of athlete, you can apply it to anything. That's why I think it's beyond important for young kids, even if you're not interested, to have them play baseball for a year or two. It might be a pain in the butt to get them out there to the field, but when they're older, they're going to remember, oh, that's when I met Johnny, and my coach taught me this, and that first time you actually hit the ball and get on first base or hit a double, it provides an amount of confidence that I obtained at that age and carry on now. And I see a lot of young kids now where they'd rather play baseball or hockey on a video game than get out there and get their hands dirty. And I'm worried that the generation coming up is going to have. It's going to be, obviously there's still kids playing, but more often than not, with injuries and parents being afraid too, that there's going to be a lack of confidence. And especially in males, I'm worried that there's just going to be this generation of beta guys cruising around. And my grandkids are going to be afraid to throw a baseball at me. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Exactly.
It's terrifying.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you 100% on the thing about the kids going and they'd rather play a video game than actually get out there and make it a physical thing. And we are losing that. Our kids are getting a little bit soft. I don't mean to say it in a bad way, but you know what I mean.
It's just the truth.
It's like we're raising kids that are, I don't know, too laid back.
Yeah. Yeah.
They think that everything that comes should be given, and there's no work to get to it. They don't understand the satisfaction of actually pulling off something that you did, and not that someone gave to you.
And there's nothing wrong with having a range of emotion. Like, you can get upset at a bad play. It's how you deal with that. There's nothing wrong with being mad sometimes or being sad sometimes. This even keel, everything needs to be just okay and great all the time. It's not realistic to me.
No, it's not, because now you get to what you're doing is you're setting a child up to more or less fail.
Yeah.
Because now they're not used to this stiff competition, and when they do get it at the early adult ages, they're really not prepared to deal with it. You know, you go and apply for a job, you don't get it. You go and apply for a team, you don't make it. So now they don't know a lot of times where to go from there with it. When the realistic thing to do would be to figure out where your weak points are and work on those areas.
For sure.
You know, we're saying, okay, you can do that, but it just doesn't sink in, and they're starting to get this lesson a little too late in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sure they understand at, say, 28, 30, but by then, you know,
it's
if you haven't started certain occupations at the age of 22, 23, you know, you're so far behind that the catch-up curve is incredible.
Right. Now, when you're in basically playing hockey for a few years there, and you decide as a young man that you're going to go and chase this dream, and so you leave high school and go to Canada. Were you 15 or 16 at that time when you decided that?
I was 16.
How?
And the thing was that when we did leave home, they did supply us schooling when we were there. We were living in boarding houses, but they did enroll us in the high schools and that.
Right.
So it wasn't that we completely abandoned our educations. Now, the thing is that everything that they teach you, you know, you learn pretty much all you can learn by the 11th, 12th grade, unless you're going to go to university or another college on top of that.
Right.
Back in our day, you know, at that point, you know, it's either one way or the other. And at the time, you know, we had the Vietnam War going on and all that kind of stuff. So it was either you're going to go serve your country, you're going to go, and even if you did decide that you wanted to go to college, there was a good chance that your draft card would say, no, you're going to the Army.
Right.
So
that seems it seems terrifying to me to leave. I mean, you essentially left because you're staying in a boarding school, so you leave your family and go to play hockey. Was that scary for you?
Well, it was really scary, but the thing was, wasn't that I went up all by myself. I went up with a lot of the kids that we played together with. Like there was 6 of us or 8 of us that ended up going to Midland that year. And I can remember that when we came to Canada, we weren't allowed to play unless we were evaluated to make sure that we could actually cut the mustard.
Okay.
So we ended up going to Toronto, and we played. We went to camp with the Toronto Marlies. At that time, they were a major A team. They weren't an American Hockey League team yet. So, George Armstrong was the head coach, general manager, and all of that of the team. So we'd been running it for years. So he said that he had to have us for a week. So the first day that we went out on the ice, I can remember there was a lot of scrutinizing on whether or not we were good enough until we actually started running people over. Right?
Yeah.
You know, and it was the thing was that at that point in time, Americans, black, white, or green, didn't matter. We weren't looked at all when it came to hockey. Maybe basketball, football,
right,
soccer, or something like that. But hockey, no chance. Like in the States, we didn't even have a really good hockey program.
No, I mean,
all that came.
Yeah, that's even a recent development to have more and efficient hockey development camps. Really, I mean, that like you said, that was unheard of in America at the time.
Well, now it's like we got a fantastic program, boys and girls.
Yeah,
and it's like we can hold on with pretty much anybody in the world.
That's right, man.
You know, back then,
USA.
That's right. You know, so it's like we can't complain. I can remember. Remember the gentleman that was running the hockey program there for the U.S. for a while there, Lou Barrow?
Yeah.
You know the name. Louis, he coached the Brooklyn Stars when I was playing for the Salt Lake Ducks.
Oh, really?
So, it's like it's one of those things that once I wrote the book, I found out he was running the program because we did that whole book on the phone, believe it or not. We dictated back to each other, found about this, and had to call everybody to make sure that every story that we had put in the book was true. And we got 2 other people to verify our findings and make sure that everything was in the right place. There was a couple of stories that I told where I had maybe mixed up a couple of things, so we got all of that straightened out just to make sure.
Right. And this is Black Ice, right?
Right. Black Ice, the Val James story. It's been out there for 3 years, and it's one of those books that I take you from the time that I was 13 years old to the time that I completely ended the hockey career, and some of the things that happened in between. Now, there's a few racial stories in it because I couldn't actually carry the story without telling those as well with the story.
Right.
Because it would have been an incomplete, and it would have been a lie, is what it would have been, because I wouldn't have been telling the truth.
Right.
So John Gallagher and I got together, and we figured out how we wanted the flow to be in the book and what we wanted people to feel and what points we wanted people to feel things. And so we hit the nail right on the head and all of those aspects of what type of things that we wanted you to do. Like in the beginning, that first opening thing about the bus thing. Sure, it's sad, and that's what we wanted people to be sad and maybe shed a tear and all that kind of stuff. So, and that actually happened.
Yeah.
Like when we were going out trying to publish the book and looking for publishers, we were very confident that our product would be fine. So we sent the manuscript right to the publisher and said, "Here you go, have a look at it. We know it's good. It's just a matter of what you're going to think." So, like the head editor of ECW Press read it, and it really moved him. But he's thinking to himself, and he told me this later, that this can't be possible. That I'm a seasoned vet. How can a book do this to me? So what he did was he passed it around to all the junior editors in his office there, and he got the same effect.
Yeah.
People were crying in the same spots. They were laughing in the same spots. They were in shock in some spots. And they were all the right spots and all the right reactions that we had hoped that we would get. So.
Yeah, and did Gallagher come to you to write the book, or did you sit down one day and go, "Man, I have to get my story on paper"? What prompted you to write Black Ice?
Well, that's the funny part of the story. Is like at the time I was going through my mind about thinking about writing the book, but I it was just one of those stories in your mind. You know you're going to do it. It's just a matter of when and how. So then all of a sudden I got contacted by John Gallagher, and Johnny is from Long Island as well.
Okay.
And he's also works for the Justice Department, and he's a prosecutor and a very, very intelligent guy, and his research is unbelievable. I mean, I wouldn't want him trying to prosecute me, He's very thorough in what he does and extremely well gifted at it. So he says to me he'd been looking for me for 10 years. I'm going, "Well, Johnny, I've been here in the falls all this time. I haven't moved. A lot of the guys knew where I was." So he goes, "Well, I must be a terrible cop if I can't find you. It's been this long." So that's a big laugh we have all the time.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And anyways, he came up to see me, and we got talking about it. So then we decided to do it. So we had another gentleman that was involved with us at the time, but he kind of got busy and left us off to our own. So we just started doing it. So we got it all pretty much probably a quarter of the way through, and still not wanting to leave the gentleman out who had been with us in the beginning. We asked him, we told him we're already writing a book. He was shocked. He couldn't believe it because he had been thinking about it, but he didn't know if we wanted to start it or what we were going to do. So once he talked to us and we were so far along, he was kind of pleased. And then, of course, we let him read the manuscript, and he liked it a lot.
Yeah. Now, how long did it take to write the book? Because I know that can be a lengthy process. I'm actually starting to do the same thing right now with Scott Parker's wife, Francesca Parker, we're doing it over the phone too. So I'm really interested to know how that experience was and how long that took.
Well, it took us about 2 years to get the book completely written and make it to publishing. There was the big effort involved in doing something like that is, sure, you're on the phone, it's like being right next to the guy, more or less,
yeah,
with technology today. But what you're going to find is that once you have facts on whatever the story that they're giving you, you're going to have to do the homework and look around and find people that had maybe been there or had been involved in the incident and get their take on that same story and then put it together the way that it happened.
Right. You got to fact check it.
Our memories are sometimes things aren't the way they happen. They happen this way, but you're saying they happen that way.
Right.
And that's a natural thing.
Yeah, I have a storyteller's mentality. So I'd have to fact check myself 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Like, well, that actually didn't happen.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because you know what? What you're doing is you want to put out something that's going to be interesting, informative,
Right.
and that someone's actually going to make. You want to make a page turner. That
Yeah.
someone can't resist. They sit down with it, and they only want to be there 15 minutes, and all of a sudden, 2 hours later, they're still sitting there, right?
Right.
And they want more and more and more. That's what you want to give people. It's like the same thing that we did with this book. Now, I never did go into the afterlife of hockey and what I was doing after that. So I'm thinking of maybe putting out a little more on that.
That's what I'm talking
and
about.
Some of the things that I've learned along the way.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I know the book has a lot of good feedback, so I'm sure people would be interested in another after hockey life story, especially with all the work you're doing with young kids and everything like that. You have an important thing to get on paper that will last forever. You know what I mean?
Well, that's just it. You want to do something that's going to entertain the adults, and the adults can read it and actually see it as a picture in their mind, and be able to relate these stories and understand what they mean. So that when the kids read it, they'll read through a chapter. And I'll give you you read the book, right?
I'm currently reading it now.
Okay, so you've read the part about going to Detroit training camp yet?
No, I haven't got there yet.
Okay, all right. Well, I won't ruin the whole story for you. But that story there exhibits control of yourself or lack of. Now, it also exhibits determination. And the thing is that, at that point in time, there had been this kid that I'd been playing against in the Memorial Cup when I was at the Ramparts up in Montreal. Well, I was in Quebec City with the Ramparts, but the Memorial Cup was stationed in Montreal. So we went there to play, and this kid was giving me a hard time racially the whole game. It got to the point where I had challenged the bench, and I didn't want anybody else. I just wanted him. But if anybody wanted to step up and protect him, well, I was going to go through them to get to him, and that wouldn't have been a problem. Although some of those boys were pretty big. They were New Westminster Bruins, and
right.
Actually, there was a lot of guys that played on the Harold Schnetz was on that team. Barry Beck, Harold Philipov. It was like walking into the land of the giants. But at that point, in hockey, all of hockey, we were the second biggest team in hockey, all of hockey, including any pro team. New Westminster, and we were both junior teams, were bigger than us. So they were the biggest team in all of hockey.
Yeah.
And their average was 6 foot.
Jeez.
So, exactly. So there wasn't a guy on the ice that was under 5'11".
That's a big
on their team.
That's some big boys.
On our team, but not on their team.
Right. So this is this is what 1977 when you're at camp.
Right, 1976 before I went to camp, just before I went to you're talking Detroit camp, right?
Right.
Right, so this would be the year before I got drafted. This would be my last year playing juniors, and we ended up, we ended up going to the Cup.
Yeah.
Didn't win it, obviously, but that was the year that Dale McCourt got overall number 1.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this will take you back to what year it was, and anyone who's been following hockey knows, number 1 draft choices. They pretty much stick out every year, right?
Right.
So from there, we ended up, like I said, I went to Detroit camp, saw this kid, lost my mind, started beating on him. He went down, I went down, still punching. And I was told to stop. I didn't stop, and I guess that was the first thing that kind of set things astray for me.
Right.
Because you got to look at it like this: even if you've got the most powerful weapon in the world, if you can't control it, what good is it to you?
Yeah, that's a great point.
So that's pretty much how that went, and I ended up getting cut from that team.
Oh.
Anyway, I got cut. I got the token. Okay, we'll try you out for a minor team. But at that point, I already knew I'd screwed up so bad that there was probably no chance of me making a minor team. Didn't matter how good I was at that point. Once you're labeled uncontrollable, now you have to try and win all of that back.
Right.
So that was where the damage control had to be done on my part.
Now, did you start enforcing at Midland then when you went to Canada, or were you fighting in the States before you left? And
I used to have my share of fights in the States, but I wasn't in an enforcer role. It was just something happened, dropped the gloves, and I usually won.
Was that just a thing, just your character? Like if someone came at you at one time and you were just like, well, you're not going to do this to me, or?
I could tell you this story, but I don't think you've read it in the book yet. And I'll tell you how I ended up getting like that.
Yeah, please.
I was, we were playing. This is after I'd gotten pretty good. We'd already gone to midget. So I was Bantam age, but I was playing with the All-Star midget team at that time because, like I said, I did all that skating and training and trying to be one of the actual good guys, and had made it that far where I could actually make the team that would play from the age of 17 to 20. And in our league, that was called the Met League, and the Rangers paid for all our ice time. That was an Emil Francis. I can't think of his name right now. He was the GM for Toronto. It'll come to me before we're done. Anyway, so they paid for all our ice time, and we had the likes of Joey Mullins and his brother playing in this league at the same time as well. So our league wasn't that bad, and we had all these Canadian players that took a real shine to us, and wanted to see the hockey programs of the tri-state area come up and be actually something that could compete with the Canadian market. Because a lot of these guys, once they came down there, they met nice girls and ended up getting married and staying in the area.
Right.
So to figure rather than just hang around and do whatever they do, they'd help out with the minor hockey programs for this area. And we had a lot of good players that were really good players, but you know how it is back then. There was only so many teams you could play on. So
it's incredibly hard.
Players got lost.
Yeah,
more or less, right?
Right.
Go through the cracks. So we got a lot of these players that used to teach us all this. And we had, like I said, we had the likes of Sam Gregory, Norm Ryder, Buzz Deschamps, John Brophy, guys like that. Tommy Morrison. I don't know if anybody would remember that name, but guys like that. Kurt Brackenberry, guys like that.
Yeah.
Kurt was a big tough guy. I used to watch him beat the snot out of a lot of people and just wonder, oh my gosh, this guy's a monster. Never in my wildest dreams at the time did I think I was going to be one of those monsters, right?
Right.
So they trained us, got us ready, and then they taught us everything. I mean, right down from skating to the etiquette that we're supposed to have off the ice, the etiquette you're supposed to have and kids, this is not a good thing, in the bar, that type of thing. So we were pretty much hand-groomed to go out and succeed. And they gave us all the tools we needed to succeed. All we had to do was use them and persevere. Because, you can do something. If you're not getting anywhere, now you start getting discouraged. And at that point, that's when your skill level starts to slip.
Yeah.
You have to find ways to keep yourself motivated. And like we were saying earlier, there are exercises to help you with your focus, concentration, motivation. And you can say it 1,000 different ways to make sure that you can sustain. It's not the best thing to do. It's for people that do have these problems concentrating or focusing on anything for an amount of time, is to just do something for an amount of time.
Yeah.
Add a couple minutes to it every week. If you're getting good at it, say you start out at a half an hour or 15 minutes. Well, the next week you're going to do 17 minutes. The next week you're going to do 19 minutes, and so on and so forth. Until you get to that amount of time that you're going to be doing whatever you're doing. Like, say, a hockey game is 2 hours, okay? So you're going to get your concentration level up so that you can concentrate or focus on what you're doing for the time of 120 minutes. So you can do this with everything. It's like and what we teach kids in sports is discipline.
Yeah.
Being able to execute, and perseverance, and actually, as much as people don't really realize, being able to get along with somebody else, whether you like them or not, and being able to perform to the best of your ability to make sure that whatever your group is involved in will be successful.
Yeah, there's a common goal on a team. I mean, whether or not you like one of your line mates at a certain point is irrelevant because everybody out there wants to win. That's the point of playing the game. So it almost builds. I mean, it definitely builds better character to be able to accomplish something with someone that you might not necessarily even talk to if you met them on the street. It's all character building.
Yes, but if you take that and use the trickle down effect with it, now if you take all those skills that we just taught you, the discipline, the perseverance, the hard work, the endurance, now you superimpose that on your everyday life. There's no way you can't be successful.
Right. I agree.
It's just impossible.
I agree. So you're at this camp now. These like you said, there's not a lot of teams, so a lot of these guys are around teaching the kids. Does someone pull you aside and go, "Listen, Val, you've got this thing where I think maybe you should learn to fight," or was it a certain? I'm just curious at how that originated. Because you go down in history as one of the best to do it. So it's like, how does that start?
I gotta attribute the ferocity probably to my dad. He was very strong and very, very, very strong and intense and anything, all those other words you want to think about. So I just happened to be my second year in Midland, and I ended up getting in a fight at the end of the year. Our season was done. We didn't make the playoffs. I was hoping to get drafted into the Major A category. And so this guy come on to me, I just fought him. I beat him pretty bad too. And I mean, he did everything he could, but he just couldn't touch me.
Yeah.
And I remember that because they had the Toronto colors on. It was the Collingwood Blues. Okay. So yeah, I remember because I used to think about that. Like, where did this all turn when I became an enforcer?
Right.
So this guy was apparently the toughest guy in the league, and I beat him easily. So then I ended up going to the Sault Ste. Marie camp, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. During that same year, before the end of the year came, we had a Christmas break. And I didn't have ice for a week, so since the Long Island Cougars, who were affiliated with the Chicago Cougars at the time, WHA, had a coach who let my dad to ask him if I could skate with him for a week, and he said, "Sure, he can skate with us, but I'm not going to be responsible if he gets hurt." Mm-hmm. So little did he know. So I came home. At this point, I'm 5'11". About 205 pounds. So I come out on the ice. I'm just as big as those guys out there. I mean, they try to push me. I'm pushing them up from in front of the net. So this went on for a week. And at the end of the week, at my last practice, I said goodbye to everybody. And it was just about time for us to go, get off the ice. And the coach says to me, "I'm going to see you in my office after." And I'm thinking, oh gosh, I must have hurt somebody. I'm in huge trouble. So he calls me and he goes, "Next year I'm going to be coaching a team in Quebec City. It's Major A." He goes, I'd like you to be on my team." I go, "Well, sure, Major A. That's what I wanted."
Right.
So it was like, man, I already got a team.
Yeah, of course.
It's falling into place. It's great. So at that point, we agreed. It was, say, the end of December going into January. So I went back to Midland, finished out the year. I think we finished somewhere at the end of April. And I came home. 3 weeks later, I get this letter from the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds telling me, "Oh, you have to come to camp. You've got a shot at our camp to make our team." I'm thinking, "Oh, that's all right, but man, I already got a spot. What am I going to do?" Right. So thinking I'm going to be a man about this, I ended up calling them and saying, "Oh, you know what? You don't have to worry about me. I got a spot. I'll be fine. Give that spot to somebody that needs it, right?" Yeah. That's right. Sure. It was easy to say. So all of a sudden, the next thing I know, the guy's saying, "No. We're not having none of that.
Yeah.
Come into camp. And if you don't come to camp, we will blackball you. You will not play hockey anywhere. And if you can't play junior hockey and get seen, you can't get a job anywhere, pretty much, right?" Right. So I kind of said, okay, and ended up going to report. We ended up, we had our camp. I had a couple of fights during during the camp, so I ended up getting to play in the exhibition series. So we played Sudbury a couple of times, and they were really rough on me. Those crowds.
Oh, really?
I don't know, racially. So it was one of those things. I figured, if I was playing for their team, I'd be their man, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times you got to look at it like, so these people that are yelling things at you, they're only doing that to get under your skin. But if you played on their team, boy, they'd be yelling, they'd be right behind you 100%.
Oh, for sure.
And a lot of athletes sometimes don't let that part of it register in their mind. It's just the fact that they're being called something registers in their mind. They don't think any deeper than that.
Well,
So there's times when you have to think outside the box.
right, and
You
that's
can't just take black for black or white for white.
right. It's incredibly cerebral of you to be able to sit down, especially as a young man, and to have pure hatred spewed at you, and you're calm enough and smart enough and focused enough to sit there and go, hey, it's the nature of the beast in here. Like you said, if I'm wearing the other sweater, these guys are, carrying me off the ice for beating the crap out of that guy, or, or playing the way you do, hip checking somebody and, just being this dominant force. So many people other, put in that situation would crumble. I mean, it's just remarkable that you were able to, at that point you're 18 to sit there as a young man and focus like that. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
Well, you have to see things for what they are. Anybody that gets called a name and right away they're going to get upset. That's the first thing that happens.
Right.
So once you get upset, then all of a sudden the intelligence factor in your mind completely goes to zero. You're seeing too much red. You're not really thinking the thing through. Whereas if you just kind of step back a little bit, think it through, and you can pretty much think your way out of the problem.
And you probably had to think too. Like one of the more famous Val James stories is Winston-Salem and how those people acted, and it's actually caught on film. At some point too, it may be in your head. You thought, these people are cowards, and they're sitting in the crowd yelling all these terrible things, and you just kept your cool, sat on the bench, and went, if they were down here, they wouldn't be saying this, and it's just remarkable that you were able to carry yourself like that, and in that documentary too, that the part there where they go, when you were out on the streets in Winston-Salem, nobody said, two things to you, like racially like that, because they were afraid.
Oh, yeah, well, now I can get you.
yeah, exactly. Especially if they saw what you're doing on the ice. I go, I'm not saying anything to that guy. He's a monster. And not a monster in a bad way, but you can rough some dudes up, that's for sure.
Yeah, I did my share rough, and I can say.
Yeah, I can say too.
But it was one of those things, getting back to how I got to it, it was like I ended up going to juniors after that affair in Sault Ste. Marie, and that's right, we better finish that story.
Yeah.
So had a couple of fights, ended up making the team. Called my father, let him know. Everything was cool. So I went to bed, woke up the next morning, there's a red light on the phone, and it's like I wake up early, so it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking, what kind of message can I have at 7 in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
So I answered the phone, and it was, come down to the rink immediately. So I'm thinking, is it a road trip or something that I don't know about?
Yeah.
So I go down to the rink and find out that I was cut. Okay? So they made this trade, and they ended up getting the original John Tonelli that played for the Islanders when they were winning all those Stanley Cups.
So you went to sleep thinking you're on the team and woke up and you weren't?
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So, that's a shock right there.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, I'm on the team. Well, what do you mean I'm not on the team? You mean I got to call my father and tell him that I'm not on the team now?
Jeez.
Well, that was pretty much my argument in the office, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah. I go, well, when I called you, and I was upset now. But this is before I learned to control myself a little bit. I go, when I called you and said to you that I had another spot, why would you make me come here when you knew you were going to make a trade to try and get this gentleman?
Right.
It's it's like, so you sent me back 2 weeks to come so you can just look at me and I can do a song and dance for you, and now you're going to get somebody else and stick them in my spot and tell me, oh, it's been nice, see you later, and all. Oh, I went off. Okay? So now I'm standing in the office, and he's got his two assistant coaches and another assistant coach in there, and I'm probably about 5 feet from him. So I just lean over the desk and I go, guess what? These guys behind here can't help you. If I want you, I go, I'll have you before they can even take 2 steps. I go, so you didn't need to have them in him. I'm more of a gentleman than that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Sometimes you got to stand up for yourself. So,
for sure.
The funny part about that story is the coach's name, Muzz McPherson, it's in the book, ends up coaching the New Jersey Aces. Then we're going ahead here about 3-4 years now. When I finally get out and I go to Erie to play, this is before I went to Erie, calls me on the phone and says, "Can you come try out for the Aces?" Now I'd already got my spot to go try out for the Blades, and there would have been no way I would went to the Aces anyways after what happened in Sault Ste. Marie.
Right.
So I gave him the yeah, and then the next time he saw me, I was wearing a uniform, looking at him from across the ice.
Oh man, that had to feel good.
Yeah, I did, especially when I was kicking the crap out of his guys. So it felt really good.
Oh, I bet.
So anyways, so now I'm into, for the listeners, we're going back to the story. So now I'm in the Sioux, I'm cut, I go home, my dad gives me the 411 or the 911 or whatever it is. He interrogated me seriously about what I had been doing.
Uh-huh.
And it took me 45 minutes to half convince him from the time we went from Kennedy Airport to Hauppauge that I was innocent, that I hadn't done anything. And it kind of half believed it. So then I had a red-eye flight out the next morning to go to Quebec City because, I got my spot. I'm going, that's all there is to it. So I think I got home at like 8:30, 9 o'clock that night, and I was back in the car by like 3:30 the next morning to go back to the airport. So I get out of the car, and he goes, well, let's not have any more of those shenanigans that happened the last time. And I'm going, there were no shenanigans. They just made a trade and got someone. And well, thank God that the guy that they traded went on to win 3 Stanley Cups, or I would really feel like a piece of crap.
Yeah, that's a way to look at it.
So now I go to juniors, okay? I get off the plane, I go in, and there's a guy there waiting for me with my name on this billboard, and I'm thinking, wow, this is just like the pros. So I grab my skates and my sticks and my bag, and away we go. We get to the rink. There's a bus that didn't park lot, and I'm wondering what the heck's going on with this. And there's no name on it, so I'm just figuring maybe there's wrestling or something. I don't know. I have no clue. So all of a sudden I get out of the car and he goes, well, go get yourself fitted for equipment. And I'm thinking, okay, this is pretty good. So I go get fit, and the next thing I know, I see my bag being thrown on this bus. I'm like, oh my gosh. So my trip from Toronto to New York, and then the ride home, and the ride back, and the plane ride from there to Quebec City. I get in the car, I'm going to take another half-hour ride to the rink, and now I got to get on the bus and ride for 5.5 hours.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Oh, man.
So I'm just like, I'm jet-lagged, I'm bus-lagged, I'm every kind of lag you can think of at this point.
Yeah.
So now we get dressed, and now I'm playing with players there's 3 players that speak English out of 20 guys. Okay, so now it's like, okay, this should be exciting and whatnot.
Yeah, so, definitely interesting for sure.
Yeah, to say the least. So now we get on this bus, and we get to the place. We were playing in Cornwall. So we get to Cornwall, and probably about a mile from the rink, the bus stops. I'm not used to this. I don't know what's going on. Coach goes, everybody off the bus. I'm thinking, what? What do you mean everybody off the bus? I'm thinking this, and then I talked to one of the French guys that speaks English, and he goes, oh, yeah, we get off a mile before we get there, so you can walk and stretch your legs and wake up from the bus ride.
Oh, man.
I'm going,
man.
Too, but I wasn't quite so nice about it. I was like, what the hell is this, really?
Yeah.
So he's like, okay. I go, all right. So now, after all of this riding around and riding all these things, now I got to walk a mile. All right. I'm into this.
Oh, man.
So now we get down to the rink. I get dressed. I go out, and everyone's just staring at me. I guess I'm the first black player they've ever seen play in this league at this point. So I'm skating around, and man, they got some pretty big guys over there. They got some guys that can fly pretty good too. Actually, remember the name Boom Boom Jeffrion?
No.
Well, he was an NHL player, and we had his son on. His son was playing on that Cornwall team. He could move and groove just like Boom Boom.
Oh, really?
The guy had all the skills. Could skate, could shoot, could score, had great hockey sense. Really nice guy. Could hit pretty hard. But if you hit him now, he kind of faded off. That happens with anybody. If you hit him enough in a game, they're not going to want to get hit too much.
Right.
So game starts, and I'm doing my thing. You know, I'm a rugged player, and I got going in the corners. I'm going to bump and grind with the best of them if I can. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing this, and things are looking good. My players are all screaming at us to stop because it was Chris Bremster, Steve Amoruso, myself, and we were the three Americans that had come up in Midland and had gone as far as to make it over to Quebec, right?
Right.
So now we're doing our thing. I mean, we had Tommy Hassenthal. He was like 6'6", goaltender.
Jeez.
And nuttier than a fruitcake. You think Hextall was crazy? You had to see Tommy. Tommy was a blast. I mean, I've seen him drop the gloves and clean guys out so many times. It's unbelievable.
Oh, no kidding.
So, I'm serious. I mean, he's one of the best fighters I've ever seen besides myself.
Really? And he did it.
I'm telling you.
He do it from the net?
Yeah.
Wow, that's that.
I got a story for you from the Midland days, but we'll finish this one first. So, the game's going on, and all of a sudden, this guy, he's about 6'2", 195 pounds, skates up and asks me what I'm doing. I go, I think I'm trying to play hockey. He goes, yeah, but aren't you supposed to be playing football or something? What are you doing out here? I'm playing hockey. Aren't you supposed to be playing soccer or something? I'll throw it right back at him, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So now, he looks me dead in the eye and he goes, if you touch another player, I'm going to kick your butt. But he used the A word. So I kind of look around the rink a little bit, then I look right back at him. I go, you sure? I go, you better pack a lunch because it's going to be an all-day job. So now he kind of looks at me, so a smart ass too. I go, well, I don't know if I'm a smart ass, but I'm standing up for myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And right. So now he looks at me and goes, you're going to get hurt. And I'm thinking, well, that's up to you.
Try me, bud. Yeah, try me.
Well, that's what I said to him. I go, you can try. And at that time, it was when phone calls were a dime. I go, it's your dime. You can call whoever you want. So now he's pissed off. I mean, really pissed off. So the puck drops. He drops his gloves. I kick the crap out of him. Cut him for 8 above his eye. Separate his shoulder. Cut him below by his lip. Break his nose.
Oh, you gave him a beat down.
Carry him off that. Okay, so now his brother comes up. These are twin brothers. And like I said, they were both 6'2". So he comes out, he's standing next to me, and I kind of look at him and goes, I can get right here to avenge your brother. Well, I'm going to give you the same thing he got. Oh, no, I'm not out here to do anything. I'm just out here to play. I go, well, let's keep it that way, because as soon as you look like you're looking at me, I go, I'm going to wreck you. So that game ends. I have no clue that I just beat the crap out of the number one fighter in the league.
Wow. Okay?
Yeah, that's what started all of this. So now they tell me this. I'm saying, no way, that guy couldn't have been the first guy. I'm still not believing. So the next game we go into, and where we go to another place, and this guy was 5'10". He had to weigh 220, 230 pounds. I mean, he was just like a brick wall. I ran into him at center ice. He cut across the ice, had his head down, so I dropped the shoulder and hit him, and man, it was like hitting a wall, like I said. So he got pissed off, dropped his gloves, and I broke his jaw.
Ooh.
So now, I didn't do it on purpose.
Well, no, but
it happened.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So now this guy is the third toughest guy in the league, and I'm like, really?
So now you got a target on you now.
Now I got a target for sure.
Yeah.
And it's I think it was one of the Laval teams, and this kid was skinny, but he was like 6'4", and had really long reach. So we ended up empty the benches against this team, and him and I squared off in front of the net. So we must have fought for about 3-4 minutes straight.
Jeez.
We got down to where all our equipment was off. All we had on was the hockey pants and the long underwear on top.
The old yard sale.
So, yeah. Oh, yeah. So our equipment's all over the ice. So we're still fighting. We fight our way from the front of the net to the corner. We're in the corner. We're just going for it. Now, the referees come over to watch our fight, and they're not doing anything with anybody else on the ice. So I'm thinking, well, what do they think? We're going to start cutting each other's throats with skates or something? So now we're fighting. I finally go to and he's yelling stuff at me in French. I can't understand what the hell he's saying. Don't really care. So now I look at him. I go, that's it. I go, I'm finished with you. So I give him a haymaker overhand. I connect. Okay, it kind of stuns him. He's tried to grab on. I hit him 2 more times, so now he's grabbing on. He tries to turtle on me. I grab him by the back of his underwear and his suspenders and yank him back up. So now I'm throwing uppercuts at him. He gets his arm in the way. I break his arm.
Jeez.
I go, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, because all of a sudden I heard a crack. Then he kind of went down. He was trying to cover, but he was only covering with one hand. He couldn't do anything with the other. Couldn't defend him. It's not right. The referee's all jumping on me, and I'm like, hey man, I'm not going to hit him anymore. He's hurt. He can't defend himself. They couldn't understand me. They spoke mostly French, right?
Yeah.
So now they drag me off to the box, and I end up getting thrown out. They take me to the box and then escort me directly to out. So it's like, see ya. So now I'm sitting in the locker room, kind of still dressed in case something else keeps going. I can run back out and help out, right? Yeah. So now the trainer, he's all excited. He loves fights, right? He comes running in, he's jumping up and down, and he's, you broke his effing arm, you broke his effing arm. So I get the French accent going and everything, and I'm going, what? He's going, you broke his effing arm. I go, no. He goes, yeah, that's effing right you did. So I go, okay, well, whatever. So now he shoots back out the door, and no, I'm left in there. So they finally get everything sorted, and we all come back in, and then the next thing I know, I'm fighting everybody in the league that's tough.
Yeah.
and winning.
Yeah, so right, exactly.
Right there is where that enforcer thing got paved in, where I couldn't get out of it.
No, you just, at that point when every time you're fighting somebody, you're just wrecking them. It's kind of, you fought your way into the role, really.
Well, that's pretty much it. So, you know what? It wasn't that I liked to fight or anything. It was just I was pretty good at it.
Yeah, and you really made a name for yourself doing it there with the a few years in the minors there before you get drafted by Detroit, and whatever happens there. But you end up going and playing in the AHL and really having a phenomenal career there. And I wanted to ask you, is that one of your when you look back at some of the goals you scored or moments in hockey, how is that? Is there any better feeling than that game-winning goal in '83 with the Americans to win the Calder Cup?
That was fantastic for me. It was like, it made me feel great. I felt like I'd done something that actually made a difference, and it did.
Yeah.
It ended up getting us a championship, something that I can say that I cherish. In Erie, we won 3 in a row. So it was not that I was a stranger to winning championships. It was just a matter of getting on a team and meshing enough so that you can win a championship. So,
and one of my favorite teams of all time too, the Rochester Americans. Just those sweaters are just classic.
Yeah, they are. They're pretty nice. I like the colors. That blue, it's different from any blue that you're going to see anywhere else.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah, they are. It is a beautiful sweater. And you know what? That's the same design they've had for years.
Yeah.
They may have changed it.
And so, what year do you debut for Buffalo?
It was the 1981-82 season.
And were you aware? Were you aware of what was happening?
Say again?
Were you aware of what was happening when you stepped on that ice? Were you conscious of the fact that I'm the first?
No.
It doesn't seem like you would be, because you're just trying to play hockey at that point.
Exactly. That thought never crossed my mind for a millisecond. It's not until years later that someone actually brought it up and I realized it.
And what we're talking about for the listeners is, if I'm sure most people do know, but Val James is the first, American-born black athlete to play hockey. So when he stepped on that ice for Buffalo, it's history. You made history, man. It's But I'm thinking to myself, like, man, he probably wasn't even thinking about that. He was just trying to, try to keep a job.
I'm trying to keep the job and making sure that no one out there was going to kill me.
Yeah.
You're going from the minors, and the minors, it's such a big league, and everyone thinks, oh my gosh, it's this, it's that. You know what? The players that you're playing with in the minors are going to be tougher than the guys you're playing with in the National Hockey League for the sheer fact that they stay in their positions.
Yeah.
Okay, and the minors, you got guys that are running all over the place. It's like you're a left winger. Why are you on the right side? You're supposed to be over there. And the National Hockey League, everybody stays in their slots. They know when to skate. They know when not to skate. And that's the major difference. And, of course, they're 2 or 3 steps faster than the other guys.
Right.
Than that lower league. But that comes with just playing in the league. Because I remember I was up for three weeks to a month. And, skating every day with those guys, I got a lot faster. I was, and my puck handling skills picked up too. You have to get better or you get left behind.
Yeah, well, for sure.
I've always thought that kids that are playing should always try and play with guys that are better than them. This way they can get to that level a lot quicker. Because, what most kids emulate their stars, right?
Right.
They will try to do everything they see that guy do. So if a younger kid's playing with older guys and they see them making all these nice moves and these little moves that all of a sudden you go, holy mackerel, how do you pull that off? They're going to try it. And eventually they're going to get it.
And when you're young, too, if you're playing with older guys, they're going to be naturally bigger than you. So you have to find a different way to succeed, too, which only grows your game.
Well, the thing is, if you're guys that much bigger, what's going to happen? You're going to skate faster,
right? Yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
And you're going to keep your head up too. Keep your head up too.
Exactly.
Now, when did you become aware, or you might not even at this point, but of this legacy and this opportunity you guys, like you and Willie O'Ree, created? Opening just doors for elite athletes that happen to be black. Go, oh, I can go play hockey. Before you guys, there wasn't. You didn't have anyone to look forward to and be like. And maybe it wasn't a big thing, but I know a lot of younger black kids want to have that poster on the wall. Like the Evander Kane now, or the PK Subban, the guys like this that had something intangible that they could look at. They could be like, oh, I could be like Willie O'Ree or Val James. And now these guys, you're not just the best. Evander Kane's just not the best black player in the league. He's one of the best players in the league, period. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Exactly. Is it weird to be or to realize that legacy? Like to sit down at night and go, I really made a difference.
Yeah, it is kind of weird, and you kind of keep pinching yourself to make yourself believe that it was actually you that did it.
Yeah.
It's like the first time I saw my name on the same line with Jackie Robinson and Willie O'Ree, I was like, wow.
Yeah, think about that, man. That's incredible. Jackie Robinson and Willie, and Val James. That's insane.
I still think the same thing.
Wow, man.
But, and then all of a sudden to have people say you're a legend and stuff like that, it's like, what? Really? I'm still trying to come to grips with that.
Oh, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not easy.
Like a normal guy.
Yeah.
Say again?
I said I'm sure it's not easy. I'm sure it's weird. But I'll tell you right now, you're not a normal guy. You're a trailblazer and a legend for sure. And and the work you keep doing now is one of the many reasons I wanted to get you on the show, because that extra effort you're taking to work with young kids, or make an appearance on. I had Kwame on a few episodes ago, the director of Soul on Ice, and
right.
It's so important.
Nice guy.
Yeah, how was that experience being on that film?
That was pretty good. It was like when Kwame come up and asked me if I could do a couple of interviews with him, that he was putting this movie together. And at the time, he only had, I think, maybe 4 other guys that he had done in-depth interviews with. Willie O'Ree was one of them. Grant Fuhr, what's his face there from the Edmonton Oilers? I can never remember his name.
Oh man, I struggle with his. I know exactly who you're talking about. I always struggle with his name.
All black kid, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
with the wiry hair.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly who you're talking. Yeah, his. I don't know why his name always escapes me too, man.
I can never remember his name. I feel like such an idiot. But the fact being that I said, yeah, that would be nice. And then once we got the interview going and got a few things in place, and we know we don't forget Anson Carter's name.
No, Anson Carter's the man.
Yeah, we don't forget his name. He's one of those guys that went out there and did it all and made everybody look good.
And I'm a Blue Jackets fan, so he holds a special place in my heart too, just because. He in a time when the team was miserable, he was one of the bright lights on the team.
Yeah, he is. He still is a great guy.
Yeah, he's killing it on TV every night. He is the man.
Yeah, he was a wonderful hockey player. Like you said, he showed up every night, regardless of how things are going.
Consistent, pure professional.
Yeah, no, that's it right there. Your consistency. I look at it with a lot of the fans. You got to think out there. This is for you fans, that you're going to have teams that aren't going to be so great, but you know what? They still need that backing. Everybody needs that support. That's when you need the support the most, when things aren't going that great for you.
Yeah, I've been going through 18 years of Blue Jackets being bad.
Yeah.
But I ain't leaving.
Their time's going to come where things are going to turn around, and they're going to get all of that, and the limelight's going to be on the Blue Jackets.
Now, do you make
you got to like we say with the plays, if you persevere and you're determined, and you are not pessimistic about things, if you're optimistic, good things are going to happen.
Do you make a conscious effort to talk to any of the young black athletes in the NHL now, like Seth Jones, or I know I've seen pictures of you with Evander Kane. Do they reach out to you, or if they're in Buffalo, do you stop by just to say, hi, young man, or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I used to talk to Evander. Actually, I kind of correspond with Evander off and on here pretty much all the time.
He just got paid.
Yeah, he sure didn't he?
Yeah, good for him.
And, yeah, exactly. My feelings are. I'm so happy for him. I just can't put it to words.
He's on the precipice of having a breakout season. I think he's going to be.
Yeah, he is.
And he's
going to.
Yeah, and he held back a little bit on how nasty he was this year until he went to San Jose. For whatever reason, it didn't seem like Buffalo was a fit for him. But I think he's going to be a dude to watch out for next season. I think he's going to have a breakout season.
Dude, I used to go over and I'd see him in practice. He's such a beautiful skater. I mean, I could watch him skate all day. That's how good a skater he is.
Yeah.
He can handle the puck and all that. And the thing was that you got to look at the team that he was on. And I'm not trying to throw rocks or anything at the Sabres, but the team wasn't as we would want a team to be. A lot of the guys weren't together. They were too busy on social media backstabbing each other to actually be a team. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like they were saying one thing to the guy's face, and then on social media they were saying something else. Now, what kind of way is that to treat your teammate?
Yeah, that's toxic.
If you can't say it to his face, why would you write it in text and put it on social media?
Right.
That's just low grade in my mind.
Now, Val, I really appreciate your time, man, and this has been a real treat for me. This is one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. You've got a gift of gab. Your storytelling's incredible.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it, man. I really do. This is a real treat for me. If you could see me, I'm smiling ear to ear. This is I'm really excited for people to hear this, and I really think people should get a hold of your book, Black Ice. And where can people get that? Where's the best place to purchase it? Where it will help you the most?
Well, Amazon.com has it. Pretty much Barnes and Noble. It's also out in ebook. And like I said, it's a type of book that when people read it, I want them to see the lessons that it teaches. Of course, enjoy the stories.
Yeah.
But remember, they are stories, and they should. If you're going to read a story, you should take something from it.
Have you been approached to do a? Yeah, have you been approached to do an audiobook for it?
Well, it is out in audio. It's on ebook and it's already out. So.
Oh, I didn't know it was an audiobook already. That I really like to.
Oh, yeah.
I like to listen to books a lot. My brain seems to retain it a lot easier.
Right. Yeah, it's audio, but it's not my voice.
Oh man, I was gonna say that'd be great if it was, but that's a whole process to do that.
Yeah, it is.
Hey man, I really appreciate your time, Val. I really do. This was incredible, man. And I hope to have you back on soon.
Well, you know what, William? I'd love to come back on soon. You just let me know what date's going to be good for you.
You got it, man.
We can maybe go through the rest of this because we only got the two of the things that we were actually wanting to talk about.
I know. We got more work to do. We got more Val James stories to tell. That's for sure.
Yes, I would appreciate that. I hope that we were able to keep your listeners entertained, and hopefully they were able to gain a lot of information from this little interview.
They're going to freak out. I can feel it. They're going to freak out. Well, and you're on Twitter, and it's just at Valmore James?
Yes. And so, if are you following, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, I'm still there, and I still post stuff. It's like... I even posted that we were going to do this today, right?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
So that anybody that's following me who wanted to listen would tune in, right?
Right. Now, do you mess around with any of the other social media or just Twitter?
No, I don't really do. I haven't done the Skype yet or nothing like that, but I'm thinking I'm getting into that too because I see a whole new direction for that. Like I'm thinking I'm retiring soon. So I'm going to need some kind of hobby so I can, so I can get to talk a little bit more, right?
Yeah, you should get an Instagram going, man. I think people would like that.
I'll have to try that, I think.
Yeah, I think people would like that.
That's probably a year away by now. I have to set things up and get everything going. And then, who knows? It could be one of those shows where we go crazy on it, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. Hey, thanks again, and you have a good afternoon, and I'll be in contact. I really had a good time.
Same here, William. Thank you very much for having me on. And like I said, you let me know when you need me on again, and I'd be happy to do it.
All right. Thanks, Val.
Direct message me,
Yeah, you got it, man.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Holy cow. How awesome was that? What a legend. What a beauty. There he was in all his splendor, Val James. Yeah, I'm not cutting here. I'm blown away. That was incredible. I feel physically better from talking to that man. That was amazing. Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. Man, I'm stoked. Have a good day. Love you.